You feel pain like no other pain, and you know that in your life it's going to be very difficult to come across something that's going to be even worse pain than that. But it also brings you so close to all those other people out there who have been bereaved.
British royal media is reeling from revelations about a previously unreported incident during a public ceremony attended by Prince William. Eyewitnesses say the moment left the entire honor guard frozen in shock, a royal bodyguard suddenly collapsed directly behind the future King of England in full view of thousands of spectators. Yet that fall was only the visible tip of a far more shocking secret. Sources close to the security detail have revealed that the guard had been concealing a serious injury for several days, determined not to be removed from his duty protecting William. What's more striking is that Prince William himself had repeatedly noticed something was wrong and urged the guard named Walton to step down from his position. The soldier, however, refused in what was described as a state of desperation. In the aftermath, the atmosphere inside the palace has been described as one of unprecedented tension, heightened by William's uncharacteristic decision to take actions that went well beyond normal royal protocol. Why would an ordinary bodyguard prompt the usually discreet Prince William to break with tradition and intervene personally? And what exactly happened in that hospital room that has led many to believe this guard has become the most haunting presence in William's mind for months afterwards? Throughout the long history of the British Royal Guard, loyalty had never been an abstract concept. For Walton, a man in his early 30s with a steady gaze and broad shoulders forged by more than a decade in the military, that loyalty was measured in every precise breath, in every motionless hour, standing at attention beneath the imposing bearskin hat. To him, the vivid scarlet tunic and gleaming brass buttons of the Royal Guard were not merely a uniform, but the symbol of a lifetime of ideals. Walton's quiet yet absolute dedication had long made him one of the most trusted faces in the ranks of the palace guards at Buckingham Palace. One early summer morning, the greatest pride of Walton's career finally knocked at his door when he received a special order from his superiors. The duty roster for the upcoming grand ceremony clearly listed his name in a position of honor standing guard directly behind Prince William. The Prince of England, eldest son of King Charles and first in line to the throne, had long been a symbol of continuity and duty to the public. The invisible bond between the bodyguard and the prince lay not only in royal protocol, but also in the profound respect Walton had always held for William's composure. Being entrusted with protecting the future king's back during a major national event was not merely a reward for 10 years of tireless service, but the pinnacle of glory Walton had always dreamed of. That swelling pride filled his chest, overpowering even the chill of London's early morning mist as he stepped out of the briefing room. The security briefing at the palace ended at 4 in the afternoon. Clutching the confidential file filled with meticulous notes on every timetable and guard position, Walton rode his motorcycle home, his mind brimming with thoughts of the momentous day ahead. Yet fate always knows how to test a man at the very moment he feels most confident. At a busy intersection, a lorry that had lost control after a tire burst hurtled straight towards him. The screech of brakes and the violent impact tore through the air. Walton was thrown several meters, his body slamming hard onto the unforgiving asphalt before his vision blurred and everything sank into darkness. When he woke to the sharp smell of antiseptic in the hospital, the first sensation that hit Walton was not confusion, but a searing bone-deep pain radiating from his right knee. The chief orthopedic surgeon stood by the bed, his face grave as he reviewed the X-ray results. The warning that followed sounded like a cold verdict. Walton's knee ligament had been severely torn with serious damage to the cartilage. The doctor stressed that he needed immediate immobilization and strict rest for many weeks, or the heavy strain could leave him permanently unable to walk normally. The doctor's warning struck like a bucket of ice water over the flames of pride still burning in Walton's mind. Looking down at his bandaged and braced leg, he did not think of the physical pain, but of the guard position behind Prince William that would now be left empty. For a soldier who saw his duty as the entire meaning of his life, having to withdraw just before a major event because of a personal accident was a deep insult to his self-respect. Walton knew only too well how strict the Royal Guard was. If he reported the injury, he would be replaced immediately, and this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity would vanish forever. His fierce devotion to the job, the terror of being sidelined, and a touch of a soldier's stubbornness pushed Walton to a desperate decision. Despite the occasional stabbing pain that shot through his knee, Walton used every ounce of strength to move his toes, trying to regain control of his body. He convinced himself that the endurance of a royal guard, hardened through years of grueling marches, would carry him through the few hours of the ceremony. When he was discharged with the brace hidden beneath his civilian trousers, Walton removed the medical supports himself. He clenched his teeth, limping step by step in his private room, forcing his body to adapt to the pain so he could once again stand as straight and tall as a bronze statue. The night before the ceremony, Walton sat silently at the wooden table, carefully polishing the insignia on his shoulders. His knee was swollen and burning red. Every small movement felt like thousands of needles piercing his flesh. Yet as he looked into the large mirror and saw himself in the magnificent scarlet dress uniform, Walton gave a faint, resolute smile. He chose to conceal the injury completely. No complaints, no reports to his superiors, ready to step into the ranks of honor, with a crippled body, willing to gamble the future of his legs to uphold the sacred promise and duty of a royal bodyguard. Amid the solemn and glorious atmosphere, Walton stood as straight as a stone column, tall and motionless in his assigned position directly behind Prince William. The heavy bearskin hat pressed down on his sweat-streaked forehead, but the greatest pressure was concentrated on a single point, his right knee. From the very first minutes of the ceremony, as the royal orchestra struck up its opening majestic melodies, Walton understood that his decision was a cruel gamble with fate. Every passing second, the full weight of his body bore down on the damaged joint like an invisible drill, slowly but relentlessly boring deeper into his flesh. Time in royal ceremonies always passed slowly, but for Walton, it stretched into centuries. He drew on every breathing technique learned from years of harsh training to divert his attention from the pain now spreading to his hip and along his spine. His toes curled tightly inside the polished leather boots, desperately seeking a firmer anchor to ease the burden on his swollen knee beneath the thick scarlet trousers. To keep himself from fainting, Walton fixed his gaze on Prince William's steady shoulders ahead. The prince's back, the very symbol of the duty he was sworn to protect, became his only spiritual anchor, the one thing keeping him from collapsing beneath the surging waves of agony. Yet the subtle signs of a body pushed to its limits could not escape the man standing directly in front. From the faintest tremors and the irregular labored breathing to the slight millimeter shift in the guard's shoulder alignment, Prince William quickly noticed the distress. In a moment when protocol allowed him to turn, the prince tilted his head slightly, a clear flash of concern in his eyes. William lowered his voice and offered a kind inquiry, gently suggesting that Walton could step out of formation and rest in the shade. It was a rare privilege from a member of the royal family, a dignified exit for a soldier enduring a storm. However, pride and a deep sense of duty instantly raised a wall in Walton's mind. He refused to become a crack in the perfect picture of the ceremony. With a barely noticeable nod and a determined tightening of his lips, Walton declined. He told himself a royal guard only left his post when the duty was complete or when his last breath faded. That stubbornness drew not only the prince's attention, but also that of a commanding officer standing nearby. Noticing the increasingly visible trembling in Walton's right leg, the officer stepped quietly closer and gave a discreet signal, ready to bring in a reserve guard to replace him. It was standard procedure to ensure the safety of the formation, but to Walton, it felt like a death sentence for his failure. He clenched his fists behind his back until his knuckles turned white. With a desperate pleading look and a firm shake of his head, Walton begged his superior for one more chance. He had hidden the injury. He had made it this far. He could not surrender when the end was only minutes away. The mix of determination and desperation in the soldier's eyes made the officer hesitate. In the end, he stepped back and allowed Walton to remain at his post.
But no matter how ironclad a man's will, it must eventually yield to the harsh limits of the human body. As the ceremony entered its final rites, the pain in Walton's knee surpassed all endurance, shifting from burning heat to complete numbness. He could no longer feel his right foot. His nervous system seemed entirely disconnected under the pressure of swollen joint fluid and shredded ligaments. Walton's vision began to sparkle bright spots dancing across his sight and blurring the magnificent royal scene before him. The sound of trumpets and the crowd's cheers receded, replaced by a long, throbbing ring in his ears. The moment came suddenly and mercilessly. His right knee lost all support and buckled like a rotten branch, snapping in two. Walton's tall body collapsed, falling heavily onto the hard stone pavement of Buckingham Palace's courtyard at the very climax of the ceremony. The bearskin hat flew off, revealing his deathly pale face and the cold beads of sweat streaming down his temples. The sound of the guard's fall rang out like a discordant note in the royal anthem, freezing the entire atmosphere in the stunned silence of thousands of watching eyes. Walton's sudden collapse sent a wave of shock rippling across the entire Buckingham Palace courtyard. In a scene meant to be solemn and meticulously choreographed, the image of the royal guard lying motionless on the stone pavement became a choking, silent focal point. Two medical personnel stationed behind the wings immediately rushed forward with a specialized stretcher, moving swiftly yet quietly to remove him from view without disrupting the royal ceremony. Throughout the evacuation, Walton drifted in and out of consciousness, his face twisted in physical torment, yet his hand still unconsciously clutched the edge of his scarlet tunic, as if desperately holding on to the last shred of honor that had just slipped away. Behind the formation, Prince William remained in his position, his heart heavier than it had ever been. The sound of Walton's fall still echoed in the prince's ears. As soon as the official ceremony concluded, William immediately requested a detailed report from the commanding officer about the guard's condition. When the truth emerged that Walton had endured excruciating pain from a prior traffic accident for hours, gritting his teeth solely to complete his duty of protecting his back, a profound wave of emotion, a mixture of deep admiration and gratitude, surged within the Prince of England. This was no ordinary military obligation. It was an unconditional sacrifice, the purest and most genuine loyalty a soldier could offer the royal family. At the hospital, tension filled the emergency room. After extensive tests and an MRI scan, the leading orthopedic specialists emerged, shaking their heads with regret. Walton's injury had worsened in the worst possible way. Standing rigidly for so long under the weight of the heavy ceremonial uniform had completely torn the knee ligaments, shattered the cartilage, and severely compressed the nourishing blood vessels. The head doctor looked at the medical file with concern and stated that the chance of Walton ever standing and walking normally again had become extremely slim. That verdict felt like a death sentence, marking the end of the proud career he had cherished. While Walton was still drowning in utter despair over his uncertain future, an unexpected event shattered the quiet of the hospital room. The door opened gently, and instead of a royal official delivering a formal diplomatic message,
Prince William himself stepped inside. The prince arrived without media cameras or a large entourage, just one man facing a soldier who had sacrificed himself for him. William approached the bed, placed a simple gift basket and a bouquet of flowers, carrying the green of hope on the small table beside it. The prince's eyes met Walton's pale face, and the leg now locked in heavy metal braces. There was no reproach for the reckless concealment. William sat down on the chair next to the bed and gently placed a hand on the guard's shoulder with absolute respect. The warmth in his gaze and the subtle, caring gestures of encouragement felt like cool, healing water soothing the bleeding wound in Walton's soul. The future King of England took the time to listen to the soldier's labored breathing, showing deep empathy for the pain he had endured on the palace square. Seeing the prince he had always admired from afar, now sitting right beside him, treating an ordinary soldier with the sincerest kindness, Walton could not hold back the hot tears rolling down his cheeks. The humiliation of collapsing during the ceremony, the fear of a crippled body, all of it suddenly dissolved, replaced by an overwhelming wave of emotion. Walton tried to push himself up to offer a respectful salute, but William's hand gently held him back. In that moment, Walton understood that his sacrifice had not been in vain. It had been seen, and it was deeply valued by the very man he had sworn to protect with his life. The days that followed at the hospital became a test of Walton's patience and courage. The window of his room looked out onto a quiet courtyard where fallen leaves scattered in the wind, mirroring the fate that was slowly slipping from his grasp. The date for major surgery had been set, but the atmosphere around his bed was thick with gloom. Walton lay motionless, his eyes staring blankly at the stark white ceiling. His mind was besieged by an invisible yet merciless fear, the dread of a future as a cripple where he would no longer be a proud royal guard, but merely a burden. This mental collapse felt even more terrifying than the physical pain that gnawed at his knee every night. The psychological weight grew heavier when Walton faced the harsh financial reality. The cost of a full knee reconstruction surgery and the intensive physiotherapy that would follow was an enormous sum far beyond the savings of a soldier on a modest salary. Meanwhile, the doctors made no attempt to hide the grim truth. The chance of a full recovery that would allow him to return to guard duty was almost zero. The thought of leaving the Royal Guard and abandoning the scarlet tunic, the very definition of his existence and self-respect, plunged Walton into a deep abyss of despair. He began isolating himself, refusing meals, and allowing the feeling of abandonment to eat away at his spirit. Yet at the darkest moment, when despair seemed thickest, a warm ray of light broke through. One late afternoon, a private secretary from Kensington Palace appeared quietly, carrying a thick envelope made of fine art paper, sealed with the royal wax. Once the secretary left, Walton opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside were not only official documents, but a special financial sponsorship decision. Prince William had personally allocated a large sum from his own savings to cover the entire cost of Walton's surgery and aftercare. The gesture was carried out discreetly, without fanfare, the most practical protection the prince could offer his guard. Accompanying the financial support was a handwritten letter from Prince William himself. Walton unfolded the paper, revealing bold yet neat lines of blue ink. The words carried none of the cold formality of a royal document. Instead, they overflowed with empathy and genuine emotion. In the letter, William expressed profound gratitude for Walton's rare loyalty and affirmed that a soldier's worth was never diminished by physical injury. The prince used strong, encouraging words to urge Walton to fight bravely in the upcoming surgery, reminding him that the royal family and he personally would always stand behind him, protecting him just as Walton had protected them on the palace square. Walton pressed the letter to his chest, his fingers tightening, as if to etch every word into his heart. For the first time since the devastating accident, his tears fell not from pain or despair, but from an overwhelming happiness. The loneliness and humiliation of a man about to be cast aside completely vanished. He realized he had not been abandoned nor treated as something worthless once it had served its purpose. Prince William's kindness and respect kindled a fierce flame of determination in the Royal Guard's heart, giving him priceless spiritual strength to face the difficult battle on the operating table the next day. The surgery, which had lasted many hours, was medically successful, but no miracle occurred for the soldier's legs. The accumulated damage from the fall and the earlier injury had left a permanent consequence. When the bandages were finally removed, Walton faced a brutal reality. He could no longer stand on his own 2 feet. The gleaming cold metal wheelchair placed beside his hospital bed had become his unavoidable companion. In the first days of learning to move by pushing the wheels with his hands, Walton felt a profound humiliation to the self-respect of a royal guard, a man who had only ever known the posture of standing tall and straight head, held high beneath the gaze of thousands. The physical pain gradually subsided, but the mental anguish reached its peak when Walton received the official decision from the Royal Guard Command. No longer meeting the strict standards of fitness and appearance required for a sentry, he was asked to leave his post and begin the formal process of honorable discharge. The moment he held the document bearing the red official seal, Walton felt his entire world collapse. To him, guarding the palace gates was never just a job. It was his breath, his life's ideal, and the anchor that defined his worth. Having to permanently remove the scarlet tunic and leave behind the sound of polished boots striking the stone pavement plunged Walton into total despair. He shut himself in his room, rejecting all words of comfort, his vacant eyes fixed on the uniform hanging neatly in the corner of the wardrobe, a relic of a glorious time now lost. However, Walton's story did not end in cold oblivion. Prince William, who had quietly followed the guard's recovery every step of the way, refused to let a symbol of such loyalty leave the royal family in silence and isolation. For the prince, allowing a soldier who had sacrificed his legs to protect him to depart with wounded pride was unacceptable. William began searching for solutions himself, chairing private meetings with Buckingham Palace's human resources team to find a special arrangement, a position suited to Walton's new condition, while still allowing him to contribute meaningfully. After days of careful consideration and navigating strict protocols, a groundbreaking decision was approved. One weekend morning, a special envoy from Prince William arrived directly at Walton's home, carrying an official document bearing the prince's fresh signature. It was not a letter of condolence or a retirement pension, but a formal invitation to return to Buckingham Palace. Instead of standing guard in the courtyard, the royal family respectfully offered Walton an entirely new role, one where his experience, discipline, and unwavering loyalty could be fully utilized without requiring a pair of healthy legs. As he read the words on the page, Walton felt his heart tighten, a sudden surge of new life rushing through the soul of the battle-hardened soldier that had seemed forever silenced. Prince William's special appointment brought Walton back to where he belonged, though, in an entirely different capacity. He officially took over the role of managing and coordinating the operational activities of the Royal Guard from the command center at Buckingham Palace. Now, instead of standing motionless in the courtyard under the scorching sun or the misty drizzle of London, Walton sat before a modern system of surveillance screens overseeing every guard position and every change of shift among his comrades. The imposing scarlet tunic of old had been replaced by a finely tailored suit with the Royal Guard's honor medal, still pinned proudly to his chest. His sharp military mind and 10 years of hard-earned experience
allowed him to quickly master the new role, making precise decisions down to the second and ensuring absolute security across the entire royal grounds. Though he had found a way to continue serving Walton, still had to fight a silent and brutal internal battle to accept his changed fate. In the first few weeks in his new position, every time he glanced out the office window and saw the young guards standing tall in their familiar uniforms, a sharp pang would rise in his chest. Walton would unconsciously reach down to touch the cold metal wheels of his chair. His heart flooded with regret and memories of the days when he proudly struck his boots against the stone pavement. The loss of a healthy body did not vanish simply with a new title. It required him to restrain his old pride, accept life in a wheelchair, and redefine honor from a new perspective. A painful shift from physical duty to intellectual contribution and quiet dedication. Yet Walton's efforts to overcome adversity together with Prince William's kindness and understanding could not remain hidden behind the palace walls forever. The story of a loyal bodyguard who had sacrificed himself to protect the prince, and of a future king who used his personal savings and royal privilege to preserve his subordinates' dignity, quickly spread beyond the palace. Major news outlets reported the story extensively, turning it into a touching symbol of humanity within a royal family often perceived as cold and distant. The British public was deeply moved. In William, they saw not only a composed future leader, but a man with a compassionate heart who truly valued the core principles of loyalty. The people's affection and respect for the prince grew even stronger, reinforcing public confidence in the next generation of the monarchy. One late afternoon, as the golden London sunset stretched across the ancient corridors of Buckingham Palace, Prince William paid an informal visit to Walton's office during an unscheduled inspection. Seeing the prince enter with a warm smile, Walton gently pushed his wheelchair forward and bowed his head in the deepest respect of a soldier. Their eyes met. No words were needed, no elaborate protocol, only a profound understanding and absolute respect between two men who both carried heavy responsibilities. When the prince's figure disappeared behind the door, Walton turned back to the coordination charts on his desk, his heart strangely at peace. He glanced down at William's handwritten letter, still carefully placed in a place of honor inside his journal. In that moment, Walton realized a profound truth that had cost him both his legs. To understand the honor of a royal guard had never depended on how many hours he could stand motionless, nor on how perfect his body looked beneath the bearskin hat. That honor rose from the depths of the soul, shaped by absolute loyalty and selfless sacrifice for an ideal. Even seated in a wheelchair, Walton understood that he had never stopped standing guard. He was still protecting the royal family and the most sacred values with his mind, his gratitude, and a loyal heart that would never fall. After finishing the story, which detail in Prince William's actions, from personally visiting the hospital and writing a handwritten letter to finding a new position for Walton, touched you the most and best highlighted the future king's kindness? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.